Hello and welcome to another episode and an interesting episode on Winds of Change. Today, I am with a doctor, a beautiful human being, someone who has spent 10 years of his life learning his profession and working for it for another 15 years, who believes that we need to keep on learning, keep on improving ourselves. And that's the reason he keeps on presenting papers, writing different scientific papers so that he is at the top of his game. During this difficult time, these are the health workers who are the frontline workers. So we have a very interesting episode today with Dr. Benhar Premendran. Welcome.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you very much for the introduction.
So all those who are listening to this episode right now, those who are young and those who are young at heart, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so that whenever there is a new episode, you will be intimated immediately. So Dr. Ben, the first question that I'm asking you is, why did you want to become a doctor?
I have been born and brought up right in here in Sevagram, the place where I work. And in the mid 90s, there were only two options which you could have chosen. Either you became an engineer or you became a doctor. So I was one of the fortunate enough who got an opportunity and a seat in a medical college. And I just pursued the same. And I become a doctor
You became
after,
a doctor. So
yeah.
were you aware that you have to study for 10 long years and those textbooks are really daunting? Were you aware of that?
Not when I got in, not when we were preparing for the entrance. Maybe that time these things never got to my mind. But slowly, when you went into the system, you realized that it was not that easy as what you might have felt it was from outside.
Mhm. You were there in Sevagram when you were in March 2020 when the pandemic hit us.
Right.
No one was really prepared for what is this virus. We have definitely different viruses time to time. We do have sometimes people are affected, many people are affected, people do die. But the scale of this pandemic was really huge. So in
Right.
March 2020, when it first started out, no one had an idea regarding how big this is going to become. But at that moment, also, since you all are in a hospital, you had an idea that something is coming up. In March 2020, what were your thoughts on this pandemic?
Right. We had just returned from short vacation in Dubai, and we were just reaching back home, and suddenly we were getting all calls that this is going to close, that is going to close, and there is going to be a total lockdown or something like that. It took some time for us to really realize what was going on. But then when we reached Sevagram and we were ourselves put into some sort of quarantine for 15 days, we realized that there was really something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because
then
till
when
that
finally
time, I think so, till that time, no one had heard of this lockdown
lockdowns and
completely.
quarantines, these were all
Yeah,
new
quarantine. These are new
terminologies.
words that were coming up at that moment. Mm-hmm.
And now, even though it has become a routine, but that time it was really frightening. Even
Mm-hmm.
in that quarantine period, every time you sneezed, you thought you have corona only.
Mm-hmm.
Even when there was no virus in the country. So that was a difficult time. And then the magnitude of the disease, yeah, certainly, only after joining back we realized.
That slowly the magnitude became clearer, and today in 2021 we are all the more aware of the magnitude of
Yeah,
the disease. Yeah, at
in the
that
general
moment
public.
it seemed that maybe this lockdown period and everything will be under control and we will be able to win over this virus. That was a way we
Right.
all were thinking at that time. Yes. So the day you were asked to go and join, what was it that was going on in your mind? that whether you
I
were
was
frightened or whether you were worried or you had some other thoughts going on in your mind?
I can't say I was very worried about it. Like maybe I was worried for my daughter, but overall I was very confident. I was overconfident, in fact. Like I've grown up watching lots of movies,
Mm-hmm.
and every time I see a war movie and I see those leadership skills of Sunny Deol or maybe some English Al Pacino, so I was really wanting to get on with things. I wanted to go into the ward. I wanted to work. I didn't want to leave my students. Juniors were put into the duty first,
Mm-hmm.
and we were just supervising them from outside. So I
Mm-hmm.
really wanted to go inside and take a feel of things and really understand how things worked and about the disease, how the disease progressed, and things like that. But
No,
never was I very much
frightened.
frightened.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
question here is everyone is frightened. Why, as a doctor, were you not frightened?
This, I think, something to do with my upbringing, because I watch a lot of movies, maybe, and
Mm-hmm.
overall, because the
You are
situation was
strong.
such that maybe
Maybe you are
no,
strong.
I don't say I'm weak in many things, but maybe the situation demanded so that
You rose up
I
to
didn't
the occasion.
appreciate the fact that only the juniors needed to work and not the senior lot or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that made
So
me
you wanted to
jump.
go out and you wanted to work there. Basically,
Lead by
at heart,
example, not
at
going.
heart, you are a doctor. You are a doctor at heart. So
we,
that
we
whenever,
became doctors. Yeah, that
yeah,
thing came out from inside, and
it comes out that I need to be there. I need to help
I need to
people.
be there.
Yeah.
Exactly, I need to be there.
I resonate with this idea of yours because I lost my father to COVID. My father was 80 years old.
Mhm.
And whenever we told him that you don't need to go to, attend to the patients, and he used to always turn back and say, who else will? I'm a doctor. It's my duty. I know there's a pandemic out there. I need to take care of myself
Exactly, same
and
feelings.
I need to go out and do. And finally, Corona caught up with him, and with his age and all, he didn't survive. But that word keeps on, ringing in my ears when he said that it's my dharma. I need to go out and I need to work. That's what I am. I am
It's
a doctor.
a very, very important word which you have said. It's my dharma, so I
It's
have to do it.
I have
Right.
to do it. So whatever the others are feeling, fearing, from outside, you all have that fearlessness quality to go, and even though you didn't know what this virus is about, what havoc it can create, you all were ready to go in and work. That's a wonderful thing, because the frontline workers have been doing a tremendous job the whole year. 2020, 2021, they have been doing
Absolutely.
as much
Absolutely.
as we appreciate them, it is less. As much as we appreciate them. Now, you being a doctor, you wanted to go, you wanted to work. You have a family, you have a small daughter, you have your parents with you.
Yeah.
What was their reaction? Did they support you? Did they help you out? Or were they frightened because you were going out?
I cannot say that they were never frightened. Fright is a very normal phenomenon,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but they never showed it. That instead they have always supported by saying a few good words. Yeah, you've been doing well. And, so the most important thing which they have done for me is looking after my daughter when I have been away.
Mm-hmm.
So even though like it was not there, maybe they could have just refused. Saying that we mingle with our daughters even though we take all the precautions, but
Mm-hmm.
they have been generous enough and kind enough to support me in that, and that has relieved much of stress and load from our shoulders, that
Mm-hmm.
there is someone to take care of her, so we are much more
You
aggressive
are relieved.
when and confident when we are dealing with our patients, and that gives us a lot more of energy when
Mm-hmm.
we work as doctors inside the unit. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there has
So
been some amount of deliberations over this, but generally the feeling has been, yeah, what you're doing has been the correct
your
thing.
parents are proud of you. What you are doing, your
Yeah, of
parents are
course, I
proud.
have no
Somewhere
doubt about
down,
it.
they are frightened, as any
Oh,
normal parents will be. That fear,
yeah,
they will never let it come to their face.
Never,
They,
never.
they will always tell you that you're doing a good work and don't worry, we are taking care of your child. You go out and you do whatever you
Right.
need to do to serve the patients there, which is something, it's a huge blessing today. If
Blessing,
you
exactly.
speak of today, it is a huge blessing where you can go out knowing that even if you're falling sick, there is someone to take care of your daughter, and your
Yeah.
work or your dedication will not hamper your child. So you can
Right.
go and work without a thought in
Boldly.
your
Yeah.
mind. Yeah. So that's definitely a huge help. They are wonderful people, and they have helped you a lot. Now, what did your daughter ask you? Because suddenly there's a shift. See, you go to the hospital every day, you come back and you play with her, everything. But right now, you are telling her, don't come near me. Though you are taking
Right.
all the precaution, though you are sanitizing yourself, but still you would like first day, what did you tell her? How did you explain to her that things are different? I'm going and doing
She's
this work.
right.
So how did you explain?
She's just around next year. This year she'll be 10, so she does
Mhm.
not understand the intricacies of each and every moment. But I make it a point that every time I come back, like why I am not going near her. Make it a point that I explain it to her. And just now, Papa has come. He's had a machine gun and he's fighting the coronavirus. So this type of things keep on
Some
happening
story.
every day. Some
Mhm.
stories I have to make up, and she's very she's accepted it, and she's proud of the fact also. She
Mhm.
understands what I am doing, and
Mhm.
she supports it very much. Yeah, and many times after coming back, when you got a tough day, you always ask this question to your unknowingly you ask this question to your kid, what do you want to become? So I'm very happy that still she says that, yeah, I want to become a doctor.
Yeah, the family she is seeing. And see, at the end of it, what I feel is that when your child sees that you are going out and doing some tough job and you're happy about it, you're not cribbing about your job, they will
Right, right. It's
always
very
have this in their mind that, okay, this is something good. See, she's too
right.
young to right now understand what you are doing, exactly what work you are doing. But she knows whatever you are doing, you're happy doing that. You're not frightened about it. And
Right.
in the house also, people are supporting you. Means you're doing something good, which she wants to become. She wants to become you. Yeah, that's what daughters do. They want to become like their fathers always. Okay. Now the next question for you is: it is a difficult time, especially for doctors and the other workers, but especially for doctors. Now, what are those skills that are very essential for you to become a good doctor now also, and as a doctor in general also?
Before I just remember a small incidents of my life. I was a resident in learning cardiac anesthesia in Nizam's hospital, and
Mm.
they're one of the very famous doctors there, Dr. Gopinath, very well-known figure in anesthesiology. I was working under him, and suddenly it was a drill every day. You to take up some patients, and one day I just held one patient's hand and directly took a syringe and started injecting. Somehow the professor came from the back and he started scolding me. "Oh, what do you think of yourself and this and that?" And that day he told me one thing. When if you want to become somewhere, anywhere near being a good doctor, you have to always remember you have to have respect for your patients and you have to have empathy for it. I don't mind what you did with the patient, but you didn't explain it to the patient. So having empathy,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, having empathy for what you are what
Doing.
the patient might be feeling. He does not know you're doing that thing for his good. So talking to the patient, having communication skills, communicating what you want to do with the patient,
Mm-hmm.
soft skills, being gentle, being polite, being courteous, okay, having respect for your patients. And he even added having respect for your parents and teachers. Okay, so these are the things which are a complete
Because
essential.
yeah,
Skills can be taught at medical colleges, injection skills, operating skills, but
technical skills. All
technical
technical
things.
skills can be taught, but the
Yeah,
soft
but
skills are
the
uh,
soft skills which you need are the one which are helping me today, maybe to tide over this crisis times.
because as a doctor you might be doing certain things over and over again. It's a repetition for you. You know, a patient needs this medicine, or patient needs this
Exactly,
procedure.
exactly.
You
Yeah,
have
but
been
it is
doing
new
it
for the
multiple
patient.
times, but the
Right.
person who has come to you has come for the
Exactly.
first time.
For the
So
first
their
time.
fear, their if you can communicate to them what you're doing, and you're doing it so that they become better, then that is where you are showing the patient that respect, and the patient is also happy that you are treating the patient to become better. Yeah,
Right.
everyone goes to the hospital for that, but then if there is a lack of communication, that doesn't get communicated, that you are doing it for the patient's betterment. Yeah, good. Now, these tough times, what did COVID teach you?
COVID has taught not just me, but many doctors like me multiple things. The most important thing is, of course, to be patient, to be more understanding, to be more caring, to be more listening. Okay. Uh, Again, like we discussed earlier, like it was easy to give and prescribe medicines and do the technical part, but tough times have really made us value that value life in a bigger sense, and it's made us accept that everything finally it is not you who gets to decide what happens. So whatever you have in your hand, you have that day, you do your work, you enjoy it, and be grateful to God that you have got an opportunity to maybe serve patients, serve humanity, and maybe get some good respect and name for yourself. That comes secondary, but yeah, certainly these things have helped us grow more as a doctor. Yeah.
Yeah, COVID has taught us we don't know what will happen tomorrow. Enjoy
Next
today.
day, yeah,
Today you are alive. Today enjoy.
tomorrow you
Tomorrow,
might be.
yeah, we can borrow Shah Rukh Khan's word here. Kal ho na ho. So we
Exactly.
don't know what Kal will bring. So today, if you are well, if you have a roof over your head, you have food on your table, be happy, and you are healthy. So you have everything to thank God for, because most many, not most, I won't say most, but many of them do not have that facility today. So
Right.
every morning we should not forget to thank that we have a lot, and not feel depressed that we can't go out, we can't step out. That is, once everything gets over, we will again step out. That's not a fact, but we should not crib and cry about it today. You have to wear the PPE kit. How many hours per day you all wear
Uh,
on an
it,
average, I'm saying.
I have been. Let me be honest. My rounds generally don't take more than 4 hours at a stretch. Wearing it takes half an hour, and removing it takes 45 minutes. So 6 hours as a stretch. But if you just give me a moment, I can just share how things go on in a PP. I had one very good resident with me, was because now what's happening, even the operations are taking place inside the COVID center only, because there are lots of pregnant women who come who are COVID positive.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a resident who was posted in a PPE kit from 8 to 2, 8 a.m. in the morning to 2. And at 1 o'clock, it was decided that once cesarean section will be taken.
Mm-hmm.
And just to mention that dedication of that doctor, I just wanted to, he, the doctor who was supposed to come at 2 was a little bit sick, so she took time.
Mm-hmm.
And even shifting this LSCS patient took some time.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time the operation started, even this girl was feeling dizzy. You lose lots of water. So it was almost 7 or 8 hours inside that. And I remember she puked inside her PP, but
Mm-hmm.
still she did not leave the patient. she completed the surgery, and at around 4 o'clock, she left the patient after she had shifted her well. Until then, she remained like that.
My
That
God.
is I personally having worn a PP, I understand what such type of situations mean. That they emotionally drain you.
Emotionally draining. Physically, see, our country, India, is a very humid, hot, humid country. I think so. Where it is cold, people will not find it that difficult because you don't sweat so much, and that is kind of comforting. Because if you live in a very cold climate, that is kind of comforting. You are warm inside. But in a place like India, wearing a PPE kit, especially during these summers, is very tough. It's very, very tough. And obviously, you have gloves over it, you have double mask, you have shield, everything to protect yourself, though it is for your protection. But wearing it and at a stretch for 6-7 hours, wearing it is physically draining, and mentally, it's also very, very draining. And you all are not doing it one day, you are doing it continuously
Every day.
for every single day that you're posted, you're continuously doing. Hats off to you all, hats off to you all. Because
Thank you.
just speaking about it, one, we are frightened about the disease. Second, we are frightened about what will happen once anyone goes to the hospital. But what you are doing at the other side is tremendous. It's tremendous. That fearlessness that you have, that this is my work, I need to do, that commitment, that you know it is physically draining, you know it is mentally draining, still you wear that PPE kit every single day. You know you have to go and face situations where you are seeing patients who are in a very bad situation. They may not make it. You are seeing death on one side. I don't think so. You have that time also there to mourn for that death. You need to look, because there are another line of patients who are waiting
The
for
line
your
that is
attention.
waiting maybe could
You
have been
don't
saved.
get a single minute to even wait there. You need to keep on pushing yourself so that the persons who are waiting, you can save their lives today. So it has been a tough year. What is that one toughest thing that you had to do during this COVID period?
It's not just one tough things which you have to do. There are many things every day on an hourly basis which you have been doing. And for a doctor who has worked especially in ICUs, and nowadays for the matter of fact even in COVID wards, has been handling the dead, and it's very tough working in the ICUs, because at one point of time you need to tell a patient that yes, your condition is bad, and explaining that to the patient sometimes becomes really a very emotional process. And personally, I have, before maybe putting the patient on a ventilator, I have just given him few minutes for his own. Maybe I've done a video call with him. He's let him talk with his daughter. So that fact that maybe this will be his last conversation with his kith and kin, and
If he
that one
doesn't
part has
make
been
it.
really, it maybe he survives or maybe it does not survive. That's a different thing. But many times, mostly luck does not favor such patients, and that one thing, doing it day in and day out, has been really very stressful, because the after effects you feel when your adrenaline has gone down and you go back to sleep. So these are the things which really play on your psyche.
Yeah, this is a something. When you are in office, you need to do it. You are doing it. What is best for the patient, you are doing it. But
Exactly.
when you go back home and you put your head on the pillow, that is the time when everything
It's
comes
trying to.
back to you. Yeah. So that is so. Okay, we are delving on the really heavy side of Corona. I know it's a tough time, but still we need to, make a way for life. Though it is tough, but still we have to. How? Okay, now tell me something really light and funny. Tell me one funny situation that you all had during all
I'll tell
these
two.
tough times.
I'll tell you two funny situations if you just give
Okay,
me a
okay.
couple of minutes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Normally, when we discharge patients, that's the happiest moment, and when the patient goes home, So everyone knows lots of oxygen has been used for such patients and treating such patients. So I always make it a point to make them understand and request them very politely that once you have gone back, you return the oxygen which you have used. You plant 5 trees in your garden. So I was doing it. I was very happy. And one fine day, I made this to a gave this suggestion to a young girl, and she started arguing back. But I have not used at all oxygen. When the whole time when I was admitted here, I did not use a single liter of oxygen. That was really.
She thought that only when you put on the oxygen mask is when you are using oxygen. Other time that you are breathing, you don't use oxygen. The sweet little girl. Yeah. In midst of everything, when someone argues back in this very sentence that I haven't used any oxygen, it's really funny. It's really funny. And what is the other one?
The other one is like me and my wife Soumya, we have been fortunate enough, I must say, to get an opportunity to work in the COVID wards together.
Okay.
Like she's from nursing, and we have been posted at the same times during the postings, and this period was going on of Bengal elections, and I watch TV a lot, so I hear on TV all those memes which were made, and Prime Minister or the Didi or Didi. So that thing has got into my mind, and Khila Hobe. So I keep on discussing these things. And one day after my rounds were over, I needed some antibacterial solution to wash my hands, and I didn't find it there. So I shouted to the top of my voice to call the sister. I was on the ground floor and the sister was on the top floor. So I shouted on my top of the voice, Didi, yo Didi. And suddenly I see someone, that's my wife coming up. Stop it, better, don't do that here. So that was
some
really
light
funny.
moment, some light moment. Are you happy being a doctor?
I could never have been happier doing any other thing. I must say I am privileged to become a doctor. I must have done something right in my earlier avatars, maybe, and maybe I would not have been that happy 20 years back, but today I'm really satisfied, and I really wish even my daughter becomes a doctor. I'm satisfied with what
that is that you are speaking from a space where you have physically, mentally, and spiritually become a doctor. You live so that you can serve. It's not lip service. You actually live so that you can serve. In midst of everything, in midst of going inside that COVID ward every single day, in midst of knowing that you have a family there, and if you are affected in any way, they will also be affected. Keeping everything aside, you are happy what you are doing. Tomorrow morning, again, you are full of life. You want to go back.
Waiting for tomorrow morning again to go back. Yeah.
You're waiting for the next morning so that you can go and serve. That is where, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for becoming such a wonderful doctor. India needs today, the world needs today. We always need doctors, but to have a doctor who is physically, mentally, and spiritually aligned to give back to society, I think so. This is the platform where I am giving a chance to the doctors who are making a difference, who are working day in and out. We do see a lot of negativity surrounding the healthcare system when people don't get a bed. Or I do understand it comes from the place where they are feeling frightened, where they really want to help their loved ones. It is coming from that place. But we do have to remember that there are 1,000 other doctors out there, 1,000 other healthcare officials out there who are working day in and out in this pandemic, leaving their families, doing what they love doing, and they are making a difference to our healthcare system. Thank you so much, Benhal. joining me.
Thank you.
This small
Thank you
chit
very
chat
much.
that we have. So
Thank
whoever
you.
has come till the end of this video, do hit the like and subscribe button. To get the notification, hit the bell icon. I'll be bringing a whole series on this COVID healthcare workers. Thank you. Bye-bye and have a good day.
Thank you.